The sun had barely stretched its fingers over the dusty hills of Sulphur Valley when I stepped out onto my porch, just like I always did. Cup of black coffee in one hand, my other resting against the old wooden post my grandfather once carved initials into. The shotgun leaning behind me? That wasn't for show. That was muscle memory. People in town called me Mr. Brooks, polite, distant like I was some relic from another time. Which I guess I am. 63 years old, skin like aged oak, hands tough as braided wire, and a limp in my right knee from a bullet I don't talk about. Folks thought I was just a quiet black farmer who kept to himself and paid cash for 90 acres of land about 6 years back. But my name ain't just Mr. Brooks. My name is Elijah Brooks. And there was a time when men only whispered it. They never saw me in uniform. Never saw what I did in Beirut, what I survived in Sierra Leone. Never watched me crawl through jungle mud with nothing but a knife and silence. I wasn't raised for this kind of life. I earned it. And I earned my peace. But peace has a strange way of attracting war. That morning, something was wrong. I could feel it in the way the birds were quiet, too quiet. No wind. No dogs barking from the neighbor's property 2 miles down. That kind of silence. It ain't natural. Not out here. So I walked the perimeter like I did every morning, not just for the crops, not just for habit. It was instinct. And that's when I saw it: fresh tracks by the northern fence. 3 sets. Deep prints. Too heavy for farm hands. Too organized for kids. These men came armed. You can tell by the spacing of the strides: steady, weighted. Not random. I didn't panic. I crouched down, ran 2 fingers across the edge of the print, and blew the dust away. Clean tread. Not local. That was mistake number 1. Thinking I wouldn't notice. Now, they didn't know who I was. To them, I was just a quiet man with a broken gate and no security cameras. But a few miles across the border, my name still made men stop talking. Not because I bragged, I never did. But because when I was called in, things ended. Quietly. Permanently. Later that afternoon, while I was feeding the chickens behind the barn, I got a call from Reuben. Now, Reuben's the kind of man you don't find in phone books, a ghost in Louisiana who once ran recon with me in Somalia. If he's calling, something's coming. You see boots? He asked. I see ghosts, I said. He paused, like he was remembering something that still left scars. You need me? Not yet, I said and hung up. Not yet. Across the border, inside an abandoned meatpacking warehouse reeking of diesel and sweat, a man named Diego Navarro was making decisions. Diego wasn't just some punk with a crew. He ran one of the more elusive mid-tier operations smuggling product across South Texas. Not the flashy cartel kingpin you see on Netflix, but dangerous in that quiet, methodical way. That morning, he stared down at a satellite map laid across a steel table, boot tapping against concrete. His eyes landed on a stretch of land near my property. 1 man. Old. No dogs. No hired hands, he said to his lieutenant. You sure? The guy asked, shifting nervously. Diego just smirked. He's a farmer. What's he gonna do? That was mistake number 2. That night, I sat on the porch as the sun dipped low, casting a red haze across the corn rows. I didn't need confirmation. I already knew they'd test me. Men like Diego, they don't send warning shots. They send scouts. And around 1 a.m., they came. 3 shadows cutting across my field like ghosts. One of them stopped to urinate near the old well. Another fiddled with my irrigation line. Stupid move. I didn't stop them. I let them move. Let them think they were unseen. Because I wanted to know how they moved. Were they trained or sloppy? They were sloppy. At dawn, I buried 2 flashbangs behind the north gate. Nothing lethal. Not yet. Just loud enough to say, I see you. And they heard me the next night. The wire was cut again. Cleaner this time. No hesitation. But I was already on the move. You see, I don't just wait for threats. I hunt them. The first real confrontation came 2 days later. 10 men, armed to the teeth, rolled up in 3 trucks. I watched from the hayloft of the barn, scoped, rifle steady against my shoulder. Not to shoot, not yet. I wanted to see their formation, their strategy. It was tactical, but not professional. No recon, no Overwatch. When one of them tripped my wire near the irrigation trench, boom, white light flooded their VY shown. Chaos. They started firing wildly. That was my cue. I moved through the fields like I was 20 years younger. Silent. Efficient. I dropped one with a chokehold near the corn bins, zip-tied another to a fence post, and whispered in his ear, "Tell Diego." He picked the wrong farm. I let him go. That wasn't mercy. That was psychological warfare. Because a man who survives a ghost in the dark will always spread the legend. The next day, Diego retaliated. They burned a quarter of my field. 3 rows of corn, gone. Left a note stabbed into the dirt with a hunting knife. "This land is ours now." I stared at it for a long time. Not with anger. With clarity. They weren't just testing me anymore. They were claiming. And that was their biggest mistake yet. I went into my shed, pulled out an old canvas duffel, and unfolded a pressed set of desert fatigues I hadn't worn in years. The smell hit me like a memory sweat, sand, gunpowder. My hands didn't shake as I loaded my M9. They never do. 3 nights later, I caught one of them. Young kid, maybe 22, trembling like a leaf caught in wind. "Who sent you?" I asked. "Diego," he whispered. "What did he tell you?" He swallowed hard. "That this place was empty. That you were just a farmer." I leaned in close. "Does it look empty now?" He shook his head. I let him go. Again. Because Diego needed to learn something the hard way. Fear doesn't spread through death, it spreads through survivors. When Diego finally showed up himself, he didn't bring a crew. He came alone, wearing sunglasses and a snarl, parked half a mile down the road, and walked up my gravel path like he was trying to prove something. When I saw him standing there with a duffel in his hand, I didn't flinch. He dropped it in front of me with a heavy thud. "Explosives?" I asked. He smiled. "You tell me. You came to burn what you couldn't own," I said. "No," he replied. "I came to erase it." He took a step forward, and I matched him. "You think I won't light that fuse?" he hissed. "I think you haven't thought past what happens if you do." Silence. Just the wind through the corn. He blinked first. That's when I knew I'd won. He picked up his bag and walked away, not out of fear, out of understanding. For 3 weeks, nothing happened. No trucks. No scouts. Just wind, and the occasional neighbor driving by slow, giving me that looked like they wanted to ask, but knew better. Sheriff Danner came by one afternoon, tipped his hat. "You've kept this place safer than my whole department could have," he said. "I ain't looking for medals," I told him. He nodded. "That's why it works. Peace, you see, isn't given. It's enforced. Out here, we don't talk much. We live quiet. And when that quiet is threatened, some of us remember who we were and why we can never truly forget." They thought they were walking into an easy win. They thought they were dealing with a man who had something to lose. But I already lost everything once. That's why I fought like I had nothing left. Because sometimes, that's the most dangerous man of all. If you believe peace must be protected, not just wished for, share this story. And tell me this. Was I right to let him walk away? Or should I have ended it when I had the chance? Let me know in the comments.